o'clock. We will call this meeting of the Town Council of Trophy Club to order. We have a quorum. Mayor Nick Sanders is out with an excused absence. We will have the invocation by Councilmember Jim Parrow. The pledges of the American and Texas flags will be led by Councilmember Tim Kurtz. Will you all please rise?
You join me, please? Most wonderful, almighty God and heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us this night as we assemble here to discuss the business of this community, that all those who serve it will do so to the best of their ability, that you would give us the wisdom and the guidance and the understanding to be effective in what we do for the benefit of these residents. We thank you, Father, for life itself. We thank you for the men and women who serve this community, who wear the uniforms of our police officers, our firefighters, and our EMTs, who are willing to do whatever it takes to put their lives in harm's way to keep us safe. Father, we pray that you'll go with the new candidates who are preparing to take my seat and the seat of Councilman Reed and go for the next 3 years in service to this community. Guide them especially and give them the wisdom they need to always make good decisions so that all the town residents might benefit. Go with us through this evening. May we all conduct our business in a loving and compassionate way, respectful of one another's opinions, thoughts, and ideas. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, before you get started, I'd like to call a point of order. And I want to invoke 1.03.032, General Rules, letter M of our Rules of Procedure. And that is, I would like to specifically temporarily suspend Rule Section 1.03.034, Chairman, Presiding Officer. And I would like to select Councilmember Garrett Reed, since this is his last meeting, to run the meeting.
I'll second.
And it requires no second.
Oh, good. Well,
And according to our rules of procedure, it requires a 2/3 majority to agree. So we have to vote Mayor Pro Tem.
You ready for a vote? Any discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor?
I might add that's the first time it's ever been used in Trophy Club history.
I'd like
Sure
to
it is,
stay
Phil.
in your seat. Would you like to move over here? I can
No,
move down one.
I'm completely comfortable right here. I don't want to move. I don't know whether to say thank you or not, Phil, but at least we had something to disagree about, right? We always do every meeting. Okay, so the meeting will start with citizens' presentations. Any citizen wants to address the council on any matters, whether it is on the agenda, on the posted agenda or not. Holly, anyone?
We have one person, Miss Michelle Reed.
Oh. I feel like people have talked.
Start my time.
we don't do that anymore, if you'll recall.
Michelle Reed, 3 Green Hill Trail. I just want to come before you guys tonight and thank you all for your service, and especially my husband for his desire to run whenever I told him to several years ago. And yes, I did have an agenda, and my agenda was for my husband to be a part of the council because I think he would add great value to it. I'm grateful for your example to our kids, to the community, to your fellow council members. I'm thankful for their patience with you. I know sometimes it'll be, okay, Garrett, there's a meeting tonight, or, you know, all the different things that they probably had to put up with to I don't know, have you in on their behalf for a part of the council with you. But I'm grateful for all the things that you've done for this town. as a citizen of this town, I'm grateful for the many things that y'all have all accomplished, and for what you've accomplished. And that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other citizens? No?
Oh, well, Reese raised his hand.
Reese.
All right, you got one there.
Please, state your name and address. Oops, sorry, Garrett.
State your name and address.
Mr. Lamont, you're out of order, sir. My name is Steve Flynn. I live at 417 Ramsey, and I'm brand new back to Trophy Club. We were in Connecticut for 3 years. We lived in Reading Court before that. So I'm recently retired and looking for something to do, according to Terrell, my wife. So if anybody on the council has opportunities for anything, whatever that might be, my hand is in the air. That's all I want to say.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We always have opportunities for volunteers, that's
Yes.
for sure. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to announcements and reports. Mr. Glass?
Evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I'd like to start by introducing formally to you our new fire chief. Chief Wade Carroll began his career in Denison, Texas as a firefighter in 1994. In 2001, he moved to the South Lake Fire Department, where he served as a firefighter and paramedic from 2001 until 2006. In 2006, Chief Carroll was promoted to the rank of driver engineer, and in 2009 to the rank of fire lieutenant. 2011, Chief Carroll was promoted to the rank of Deputy Chief of Operations, overseeing the daily operations of the South Lake Fire Department. Chief Carroll has earned his advanced firefighter certification, is a licensed paramedic, a hazmat and high-angle rope rescue technician. He's also a member of the Denton and Tarrant County Fire Chiefs Associations, the Texas Fire Chief Association, and the International Association of Fire Chiefs. On April 10th, 2017, Chief Carroll was selected to serve as the fire chief in Trophy Club, and he assumed command on May 1st, 2017. Chief Carroll and his wife, Venetia, have been married for 22 years and are the proud parents of 2 daughters, Delaney, aged 18, and Bailey, aged 12. So at this time, I'd like to formally introduce to you our new fire chief, Wade Carroll.
Thank you all very much. I'm very excited to be here, obviously, and we're anxious to get started and continue the legacy that was begun many years ago through Trophy Club, and then most recently with Chief Lasky. So I'm excited to be a part of the Trophy Club family and ready to get going. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I'd also like to mention that the volunteer reception is scheduled for June 2nd at the Country Club from 6 to 8 p.m. Electronic invitations have gone out to all the residents who volunteered for the town in 2016. And this year's reception will follow last year's format, which is a come and go and a very casual event. So we hope to have everybody there. And then lastly, I'd like to turn it back over to Councilmember Reed for a special recognition of council members Reed and Para. Maybe I better turn this over to Mr. Lamont.
Okay.
Greg, maybe you should handle this.
All righty. Jim, on behalf of the mayor and this council, we would like to thank you for your service in showing a passion and commitment to our town, in particular the restructuring of our new town hall and your devotion to the Veterans Park and to our veterans. You were a part of a dramatic change in making this town a better place, both in its operations and attitude. And we thank you for your time.
My honor.
Garrett, I vividly recall the night of my swearing-in ceremony, and afterwards sitting in a restaurant with a group of people, and we asked you if you would like to run for council. Your eyes and Michelle's eyes lit up like candles, and we knew then that this was going to be the beginning of a great change for our town. You were the final piece to the plan. There was already plans in place for paralegal Schaffner to run in November. And after years of trying to convince Ryland to run, he finally said, okay, I'm in, along with Jim. You are an intricate part and piece to our success. We would not have gotten nearly half of the accomplishments without your expertise in the development area. Your personality and ours all blended together. How could you not love a person who always starts off his comments with, "I may be a dumbass, but." We were never a rubber stamp council, but unlike previous councils, we never made it personal, because when you make it personal, you cannot compromise and therefore cannot get anything done. Council Chamber. We politely argued and compromised, and this town is a better place for it. In the beginning, our council meetings were as long as 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but it served a purpose. We needed to get things done and set in place ordinances and budget controls because we knew that build-out was approaching and the town needed to be ahead of the curve. You have made the council more productive, and as a result, it will be a much easier time than when the 6 of us first got on the council. Eric and Alicia, they are the lucky ones. We fought the battles, we took the heat, but in the end, everyone came to realize that was the right thing to do, and you, Garrett Reed, were at the center of it all. On behalf of Janet and I, we want to thank you for your time, and good luck on the farm, or whatever it is. Please know that you will be missed.
Thank you.
Anybody else
think
got any-
there's-
got anything?
Well,
Something we'd like to
gotta go around the
present.
table.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Anybody else have
well,
anything
anybody else
to
got
add?
anything to say? Come on,
You
come
got
on,
any?
Garrett.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Philip has something.
When I was growing up, I grew up in east of Dallas in Mesquite, and my dad was a lot like Rollin. He was a huge baseball fan. And I remember on his wall there was 3 old baseball players, and on the bottom it said Tinkers to Evers to Chance. And growing up, I thought, oh, okay, those guys. Well, they played in 1902, and my dad, for some reason, just loved these 3 guys. They played from 1902 to 1912, and they won 4 championships and 2 World Series. But what I can always remember my dad, when people would come over and ask him about that poster, he would always say they epitomized teamwork. They were it became the definition in baseball of a well-oiled machine, characteristic of high caliber teamwork. And so it always emblazoned in my mind Tinkers to Evers to Chance. It was just a double play combination that lasted for 10 years together. And if you really describe this council, that's what that is. This is a teamwork. Give all the credit to Lamont. He ran against an incumbent in a tough race that is very difficult to beat an incumbent, but he did. And after that, the dominoes just fell. I came in November of 2013 on a new seat that the citizens had put in. And then in May of 14, Nick and Rylan, Jim and Garrett came on. And then November of 14, Tim came on. And we were almost basically elected at the same time. It was a very short period of time. I think Lamont was on for 6 months, and then I was on for 3 or 4 months before they all came. But we just kind of gelled, and I think we're lucky. We're very lucky that we all came on at the same time and came on together. But I think if you go back and just look at our team, really Garrett is the backbone of this team. I mean, he's the one that had lived here the longest. He grew up in Trophy Club, and he loved Trophy Club, and he always had a passion for Trophy Club and for doing the right things. So this council, if you go back in the 33 years of Trophy Club history, this will be the second longest serving council together. We served for 922 days. Once Alicia and Eric are sworn in, it will be 922 days together. This is our 94th meeting together. And today, with all the time that I had, I looked it all up. We have put in 351 hours and 14 minutes together in all those years. All free, I might add, not paid.
It feels
and
Yeah.
and so this will be it will go down as the second longest serving council. You have to go back to the 90s where there was about 4 years a council stayed together. And I think that, and Rylan will probably, say it more about what we've accomplished and what we've done together. But Jim and Garrett were a huge part of this team. We got a lot of things accomplished, and a lot of people aren't going to know just how much really that Garrett brought to the table as far as saving this town money. I mean, just huge amounts of money. We couldn't find land anywhere in Trophy Club to put a town hall, and it was Garrett's idea that said, well, have you reached out to this guy and talked to him? And so they reached out, and he sold the land, and we're about 3 or 4 months away from, and that's the horrible thing, is that the one person, or the two people actually, that were, because Jim was just as passionate in the beginning as far as trying to get over to the Methodist church and hit roadblock after roadblock, and the two people that were the most passionate will never sit on the dais, which is unfortunate and not a great thing, but their name will be emblazoned on the building, on the plaque. But I just appreciate both of your service to Trophy Club. I mean, nobody will know but us, the hours and the 351 hours just spent doing something that we love. We really love this town, and I think that we've accomplished a lot. And it's funny because when we first started, Garrett's name, and maybe it still is, was Sea Legs, because he just couldn't get his sea legs under him. We would always kid him because he just was lost for about the first 7 months of on council.
Oh, that hurts. No.
I'm still pretty lost.
7 weeks.
So, but anyway, I appreciate both of you, and I'm really, it's not going to be the same. No matter how many councils we are on or not on, there will never be a council like this, and we will always remember you and the service that you gave this town. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Of course. Right? I mean, some of y'all have been here before. I got to talk, right? So this is kind of cool, actually, because normally we do this the same time as swearing in of new members to the council, and this is kind of cool because we get to focus on you guys, and then we can focus on welcoming the other folks in a couple weeks. So for Jim, thank you very much for the time you've put in. Let me tell you guys, Jim is a passionate guy. He's persistent. You're not going to find someone that sticks to his principles as well as Jim does very easily. He works hard at the things he's passionate about. He's been a good asset to this group and to the town. And even though he's going to, not be in this seat anymore, he's still going to be active in other ways. And I'm sure we're going to see him a lot, and I appreciate the time and the effort that he continues to put in. So thank you, Jim. It's been fun serving with you and getting to know you the last 3 years. And Garrett, obviously, I hate reading off of notes. I made notes last week to think about the things I wanted to say about Garrett's time on council, and I hate reading from notes, but in true Garrett fashion, I thought I had 2 more weeks to mull this around in my mind before I had to go through it all, so I have to go off my notes. But the bottom line, the main idea, and Greg hinted at with Garrett, is Garrett talks himself down. He's self-deprecating. He's Mr. Aw Shucks, I'm just dumb old Garrett, up here acting a fool. But as a result of that, I don't think it's fully comprehended the level of skill and expertise that we've been blessed with in this town for the last 3 years. And he epitomizes what people say they want from someone to represent them. They say they want someone who treats their money treats y'all's money like it's his. Garrett does that. They say they want someone who will ask questions and challenge staff and challenge third parties, and Garrett does that. They say they want someone with extensive private sector experience that will change the way governments operate. Garrett has that in spades. They say they want someone who'll stand up for residents. I've never seen Garrett intimidated by anyone. I've never seen him blink in a negotiation. I can't tell y'all how much I've learned about how to negotiate from Garrett. And guess what? I get to use that more at work than I do here, because here I can lean on him. So that's been beneficial to me. He did those things and even more than that. And there's other people that have come before and will come after that are also good at those things. But there's another layer to that I want to make sure everyone understands. Generally speaking, at every level of government, people like Garrett Reed do not run for office. They don't. You all know somebody like him, and you wish they were in the seat, but they don't do it. And we would all be so much better off if more people did at every level of government. Everything that impacts our lives would be so much better if more people like Garrett ran and served. And the reason is because he's authentic. You say you don't like politicians and you don't want someone who's going to get elected and then start acting like a politician. You guys had for 3 years the least political politician in the history of the world. You had that, okay? People say they want someone with principles that's not going to just go along to get along, and you had the least go along to get along guy I've ever been around. You had that. We had that for 3 years. We were blessed with that. People say they want someone who isn't going to get elected and then just worried about getting reelected, or someone who's afraid to say the wrong thing at the wrong time in front of the wrong group of people. The Garrett that sits before you today is the exact same guy that is in a group of friends, away from this setting, or in private or one-on-one. It's the same person. Garrett is fearless. Fearless. You won't find someone as absolutely fearless of the potential consequences of what they say up here, and even me. You won't find anyone that's less afraid of potential consequences of speaking their mind and sticking to what they think than Garrett is. So I just want everyone in perpetuity on YouTube to see this. We had it for 3 years. We were very, very lucky to have that. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. And so it's just the authenticity. And the authenticity lends itself to a lot of fun moments that most people miss because, like Greg said, we sit up here and we get way out in the weeds, and the business of government is often very, I don't want to say boring, but it can obviously be boring or tedious or whatever. I mean, some of these things are a necessary evil of how we have to operate. And in the midst of that, having this just hugely authentic person sitting to your right makes for some great moments, whether it's funny or you make an amazing point and get somewhere and really accomplish something great or whatever. And I wish everyone could have been here to experience those moments like I have, because I see how much Garrett really loves Trophy Club and loves service. And so it's a shame that, there's not a highlight reel of everything that happened the last 3 years. But Philip, being Philip, did find an image on YouTube about a year ago that to me epitomized what Garrett's authenticity was about. And I've put something together for Garrett to take home with him to commemorate his time on council and demonstrate his authenticity. And here you go, sir. I think you should open it. And thank you for 3 years. Thank you, Trophy Club, for letting us have this guy for 3 years. Picture's worth 1,000 words.
I think the Mayor Pro Tem was speaking at the moment.
Tim.
Yeah, I guess I have to go after Rylan. I was hoping to go before him.
Sorry.
So I won't say much because Philip and Rylan have said it all. I was the last to get on this council. I saw how well the council worked together. And I was pretty amazed because you always hear how, divided everybody is. I will say behind the scenes, we all disagreed a lot, right? We disagreed on a lot of things, but we never took it personal. We never really showed it out here. You would hear Greg a lot of times going, "I'm on a lonely island." I mean, that was about it. You wouldn't hear. But what this council brought was really a lot of passion, and Jim and Garrett really had passion for what they were doing, and that's what I really loved about being here with them the entire time. I'll miss Jim's voice more than anything else. I think it's just reading those proclamations have been great. But I thank you, Jim, for all your service. I hope you'll be back many times asking for stuff for the veteran community, and I know that was a passion of yours, right? And like you said, you were always the voice of the people, and we love that. And you got out there, and someone has to take on that role every time. So I appreciate it. For Garrett, both these guys touched on it, but he is the most humble guy, A lot of us work with Garrett in other capacities, and no matter what he does, he brings that self-deprecating personality to the table, which really, helps in negotiations, right? I mean, that really puts people at ease, and he gets a lot of stuff done. I mean, he's a lot of times, what we didn't say here is a lot of times he's the smartest guy in the room. He acts like he's not, but he's the smartest guy in the room. And what I try to do at all times is try to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. So in many cases, he actually is that guy. And what I look back on the 3 years, and we were lucky enough to be at a time when Trophy Club was kind of going through some massive growth for our scale. But to look back at the things that these guys have accomplished, from just getting breadwinners done to getting the town hall and the police department done, coming in on budget. Garrett would always say to us, when we'd start talking about something, he'd say, "Remember what we're here for," right? That's what he'd always say. Remember what we're here for. We're the financial stewards for the people, right? We're only here to do what's necessary, not what we want, but what we need, right? And that's what we need to do. And that's what I'll miss from these guys is that passion and keeping us on task. And I know when Eric gets on board, he'll be keeping us on task also, so that'll be good. But I just want to say thank you. I've learned a ton from both of you. I hope that I know Jim says he's retired, so I'll take that. But I'm hoping maybe a couple of years from now, Garrett may come back on and help us with some more development here. So I just want to say thanks for everything, and it was great working with you guys, and I look forward to working with the new council people. So.
Well, I think it's time for the honorees to say something. Jim, would you mind going first?
I'll let Garrett go first.
So in true Garrett fashion, I was not prepared for any of this. I thought we'd be out of here by 8 o'clock. So, whoops. So I'm not going to read from any notes. But this is everything that these guys said. It's hard to explain how neat this opportunity and experience has been, and it's been pretty neat. But from every single one of these guys, and I wish Nick was here tonight, because even I learned something from Nick, but all these guys I've learned a ton of stuff from. In the beginning, when Greg dreamed up this dream, and it was a pretty neat dream you had, Greg, we were getting ready to run, and it was a lot of us running all at once, but we would sit down, and we'd sit down with Jim, and so I just want to tell you some stuff I've learned from each one of these guys. One thing I learned about Jim is you can put your mind to something and never look up until it's accomplished, regardless. And I'll give you an example of that. We were looking at the budget, and in the beginning, we would be up here till 2 in the morning just scrubbing stuff. And we went through that budget line by line, and we were just trying to figure out how we can cut things. I'll never forget in the beginning, we talked about cell phones, right? And we made this big deal about cell phones, and I think the rest of us got caught up in all these other big money cuts we could make. And I'll never forget, for 2 years, Jim would always go back, and he had the details and the stick-to-itness. But in every aspect, when we negotiated with the Methodist Church, I mean, Jim taught me a lesson in that if you just believe in something and put your head down, you will accomplish it. And thanks for teaching me that, Jim. It was a great lesson. I'll just go down the row. Rylan, didn't know Rylan before I sat up here on council. Came home the first night and told Michelle I had a man crush on this guy that's sitting next to me. I don't really know who he is, but he's the smartest man I've ever met. He just opens his mouth and just genius stuff comes out. And I was like, I'm going to sit at this guy's feet and learn for years, and I did. And everybody knows Rylan. He's probably one of the most intelligent human beings there ever was. Like a brother to me, and this has been a neat experience. Greg, again, guys, I would, if anybody's been here for a while, look back at where we were. Greg had a vision, whether people agree with it or not, and he executed it. I mean, we sat in a restaurant one night, and he said, "Here's the plan. We're gonna change things. It's heading in the wrong direction." Chief Rod and I, we just talked about this before the meeting. It's heading in the wrong direction, and changes have to be made. And I'm not talking about normal change. We're talking about Donald Trump-style changes that Greg came up with. And we all kind of looked at him like, all right, let's get on board. So thank you, Greg. Without you, I would have never had this opportunity. I appreciate it. This is, you're doing. Tim, I've known Tim for a long time. We coached flag football together back in the day. But I've learned so much from Tim, and just the way, and these are strange things, the way that Tim is incredibly quiet, and he sits there and listens, and then all of a sudden you just hear this voice speaks up, and you're like, how did I miss that? And it has to do with things like how you interview people, how you manage people, just unbelievably talented. And I know we work together in some stuff after this, so it's not goodbye, but I've enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. Philip, we knew each other a little bit beforehand, but I love you like a brother. We've always made sure that we've disagreed at least in one of every meeting. Even if we didn't, I would find something to disagree with him. But Philip is so his ability to come up with information is just, it's second to none. Like whatever you read off tonight, he's the polar opposite of me. I'm not sure I've read anything, but Philip's read it all, and he understands it, and he knows it. And this has been a really cool team. It's been a lot of fun, and we've done a lot of good. And you guys are going to keep doing a lot of good. You've got phenomenal leadership, and with y'all's direction, this town's got nowhere to go but up. But I love you guys, and I really mean that. This is a weird fraternity. It really is. And it'll always be. You're in it, and you're always in it. And I've enjoyed serving with you guys. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I should thank my family, my kids and my wife. I mean, they're the ones that actually sacrifice, right? We sat up here till 2 in the morning. They put up with it. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I did. Thank you. You were asleep. Bree said she was asleep. But thank you. And Michelle is right. I mean, she pretty much told me, that night at the restaurant, and Greg said, "Do you want to run?" And Michelle said, "You're going to run." I said, "Okay, I'm going to run." In fact, I'll never forget Mike Sly, who was the town manager whenever I was elected, called me into his office, and he said, "So why'd you run for council?" And I said, "I love Trophy Club, and my wife told me to." And that was it. So I love the town. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I do what my wife tells me to do. So anyway, but thank you, family. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Jim?
Well, as you know, I'm a person that's a man of few words, so let me just say that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of Trophy Club for the past 3 years. I didn't have some of the opportunities to get involved with some projects as I would have liked to due to medical issues at home, which took away a lot of my time, but in my belief, and I'm sure most of yours, your family always comes first. And so I wish I could have done more in the time I was here, but I am so grateful for these men who I served with over the past 3 years. We didn't always agree, as has been stated more than once, but we always came to a decision, and we always were able to accept what the other fella had to say and make it work for the benefit of the people, which is why we're elected to serve you. And I am so grateful for this council. Because of this council, we now have an annual Memorial Day ceremony to honor our men and women who gave their lives in service of their country, which, by the way, is this coming May 29th on Monday at 10 a.m. So I encourage each of you to be there to celebrate the service of those brave men and women. And also, because of this council, we now have a Veterans Day ceremony and a Veterans Memorial to really be proud of. And I hope you will join us on November 11th at 11 a.m. to dedicate that memorial to the men and women who are currently living in Trophy Club as veterans, who would, I know, go and serve again if they were called to do so. I know on 9/11, after what happened, I tried to re-enlist, but I found out I was too old, and they wouldn't take me. So, but I know if we could go back again, and if we were needed, we would, because that's what veterans do, because they love their country that much. So I thank you for the honor and the privilege of serving you. I thank each of these men for the privilege of serving with them on this council, and I know that Eric and Alicia will do a fabulous job in carrying on the traditions that this council established. So thank you very much, and God bless you, and God bless the town of Trophy Club.
All righty. Well, no, we have some tokens of appreciation and a photo op.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
So let's, council, if we'll go up front.
Did we spend money on those? Everyone doesn't want that.
Is it in the budget?
Oh, we have to get up.
As long as it's not a cell phone.
Oh, yeah, it might have a name on it.
Yeah, that would be nice. Rather than a box. That's gonna attack you.
You need hold too. That's your gift. What, is there something to read?
No, it's a,
We don't have any text.
no.
Oh, well, she or Tom or Patrick expect to read it. We have way more of a crowd than normal, so I want to reassure all of you that we don't not near this much fluff in these meetings.
All right. Let me do my best Tony Soprano imitation.
He's gonna mess this up.
Jim read for us?
Resolution of gratitude. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, to recognize Garrett Reed and Jim Parrow for his service to their service to the Town of Trophy Club. Whereas, the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, wish to express their sincere gratitude to Councilmember Garrett Reed and Jim Parrow for their invaluable service to the Town of Trophy Club. And whereas Councilmember Reed and Parrow served with distinction and honor as a member of the Town Council for 3 years. And whereas members Reed and Parrow, dedication and loyalty to Trophy Club and its citizens has been instrumental to the enhanced welfare, growth, and development of the Town of Trophy Club. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas hereby expresses their heartfelt gratitude to Councilmember Reed and Parrow for their unselfish contributions, leadership, and service to the Town of Trophy Club and its citizens. Passed and approved by the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, this 9th day of May, 2017, signed by the mayor and all council members, except those two.
Now you can go to the consent agenda.
All right. Now back to the meeting. Okay, so we're going to head to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the town.
2-minute break, maybe, let them all go.
I think the fun's over, yeah. If everybody would like to leave now, it's good to see y'all. Let's see, they're considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. Does anybody, any of the councilmen want to remove any of the items, let's see, 3 through 5?
2 through 5.
2 through 5.
2 through 5? Sorry, 2 through 5. Anybody? Last chance. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 2 through 5.
Second.
Third.
Motioned by Rylan, seconded by Jim, thirded by Tim. All in
Leadering
favor
right
of the
there.
motion?
That's leadering right there. Good leadering.
That is good. Those are leadership skills, right? Okay, it was Holly. Everyone voted in the affirmative. Okay, item 6, regular session. Consider and take appropriate action regarding a proclamation of the Town Council declaring May the 15th through the 21st, 2017 as National Police Week and Trophy Club in conjunction with National Police Week and May 15th, 2017 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in Trophy Club and providing an effective date. Do I have a motion?
I gotta read.
You gotta read it.
Oh,
Jim's
Jim,
gonna read
would
it,
you
right?
read the proclamation?
Yes, sir. Town of Trophy Club, Texas, proclamation number 2017-04. A proclamation of the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, establishing the week of May 14 through 20, 2017 as Police Week in Trophy Club in conjunction with National Police Week and designated May 15, 2017 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in Trophy Club and providing an effective date. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Law Enforcement Agency of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, who play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the Town of Trophy Club. And whereas there have been 15,548 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2015, resulting in approximately 14,453 injuries, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, and whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 394 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 143 officers killed in 2016 and 251 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 29th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2017. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of a National Police Week, which takes place this year, May 14 through 20, 2017, And whereas May 15, 2017 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the town of Trophy Club, Texas, unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Mayor C. Nick Sanders, in conjunction with the Town Council of the town of Trophy Club, Texas, do hereby proclaim to observe the week of May 14 to 20, 2017 as Police Week in the town of Trophy Club, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation, passed and approved by the Town Council of the town of Trophy Club, Texas, this 9th day of May 2017. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to make a formal motion, and it's an honor for me to ask that this be approved unanimously by this Town Council.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Jim and seconded by Greg. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Photo op time.
Yeah, I think we'll have the official Mayor Pro Tem step in.
The official.
For now, anyway.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I need to block up.
Do you want us just to stand
Want
behind
us
you
to-
guys? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do this right.
Don't ask us.
Clearly, we don't know the answer. Guys.
Can I point out that you said I was so smart, but then you made cliff notes that I didn't even know to read from? Thanks. Don't believe anything these guys say. All right, agenda item 7. Councilmember Pero will now read a proclamation recognizing Byron Nelson student Jared Clark for earning a Congressional Award Gold Medal. Jim?
Town of Trophy Club, Texas, proclamation number 2017-05. A proclamation of the Town Council of the town of Trophy Club, Texas, recognizing Jared Clark for earning the Congressional Award Gold Medal and providing an effective date. Whereas Byron Nelson High School senior Jared Clark recently received the Congressional Award Gold Medal, a top honor presented by the United States Congress to young Americans who meet rigorous standards across community service, personal development, physical fitness, and exploration categories. And whereas Jared received the award after nearly 4 years of work, totaling 400 hours of community service, 200 hours of personal development, and 200 hours of physical fitness, he strove to become a lifeguard and worked for the town of Trophy Club. Additionally, Jared planned and completed a 5-day, 4-night trip to compare and contrast 5 major metroplexes in Texas. Because he is a gold medalist, he also received the program's bronze and silver awards. Whereas young Americans don't receive the award based on a competition, but rather based on achieving their own challenging goals after registering for the program. The foundation that runs the nonpartisan program is the only congressional charity. And whereas Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson, who represents the 30th District of Texas in the United States House of Representatives, presided over the statewide ceremony for Congressional Award Gold Medal winners, giving Jared his honor on April 8. The event, held at Southern Methodist University, was the first time Texas has held a statewide ceremony for the award. Now, therefore, I, Mayor C. Nick Sanders, in conjunction with the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, do hereby recognize Jared Clark for earning the Congressional Award Gold Medal, passed and approved by the Town Council of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, this 9th day of May, 2017. And I move that this proclamation be approved.
Second.
Motion was made by Jim, seconded by Greg. All in favor? It's unanimous.
I got it.
Jared was hoping he'd be the only guy in the room not to have his picture taken tonight. Sorry to disappoint.
Proclamation days are over. It's over 12 years old.
Are you doing anything for Lasky? Are you reading anything? Do we have anything?
No. I think that was just Tom Clash is going to recognize.
Thanks for staying on way longer than you wanted to. Yeah, basically.
And just since you're running the show, when you get to item 9, do you think this should be moved out and should be tabled for the next council meeting? Because they're not even here to vote on the July meetings.
So we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda. And since I'm running the meeting, I guess I can say whatever I want to say, right? So I will. Chief Carroll, I will tell you this. We're happy to have you on board. We're excited to have you on board, but you truly have some large shoes to fill. Chief Lasky, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for what you've done. You know, there's been a lot of pieces that have fallen into place to make Trophy Club what it's become over the last 3 years, and you were an instrumental part of that. You know, I know that decisions were made by people a lot smarter than me to bring you on, and those were the right decisions. And thank you for putting up with us for as long as you did, and thank you for doing that all you have done. I know the guys over there appreciate you, and I know that we all appreciate you up here. And I'll turn it over to Patrick, or is it you? Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Mayor Pro Temp and Council, it's my honor to say congratulations and thank you to Chief Lasky for the almost a year served with us as our interim fire chief. He's done an outstanding job, and not only has he done an outstanding job to bring the department to where we see it today, but to also bring the town together, the departments together, and friendships together. So it's my privilege to provide you with a certificate of appreciation from the police department and the town. And sorry, I got a little burn there. So I was playing with fire.
Oh, God. Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, come back? Oh, okay. Now where they want.
This is the council that doesn't like pictures.
Yeah.
I like to be
And if I may, on
behind the
behalf of council, give this to Chief Lasky for his time
Oh,
spent
yeah.
sitting here with us. Chief Lasky, council, sir. And thank you, sir. My honor.
Pro Tem and council, again, this man is a big reason for why I'm here. So I'm very appreciative of everything that he's done for our department and everything he's done to bring me in. The reputation of the Trophy Club Fire Department is outstanding, and it's largely due because of this man. Thank you.
Chief Lasky, before you go, I just want to add one thing to these closing ceremonies. As all of you know, sitting outside of our firehouse is a memorial that was constructed last year and unveiled on 9/11 of 2016. And Chief Lasky played an instrumental role in the finalization of the design and the installation and the placement of the artifact, and helped with the selection of the words on the plaque that are on the front of that memorial. So he may be gone in body, but his spirit will long remain here in Trophy Club inside that memorial. And every year when we gather around it to remember the events of 9/11 that you knew so well, and the people that you knew so well who were in the stairwells and in the buildings when those towers came down, will forever be remembered as part of our town. And thank you very, very much for your service, your dedication, and your commitment to getting that project completed.
Thank you, Councilman.
Well,
Yeah, I'd like to read something. On Tuesday, April the 12th, 2016, at 12:37, we received a email message from Stephen Seidel, personal, confidential, and privileged communication. And what it said is, it says, Mayor and Council, over the last few days, we have been assessing the fire department. I think the best way to, well, I'll leave that part out. I've been able to secure an interim fire chief to serve beginning roughly at the end of April, 1st of May. His name is Rick Lasky, and this is an absolute home run. He doesn't do interim services because he is a highly sought-after speaker and conducts training for firefighters all over the country. He normally won't consider it. He said, when I told my brother-in-law, who is a firefighter, that I was talking to Lasky, his response, "That's amazing. I wanted to work for that guy so bad. He's a firefighter's fireman." I guess he said a firefighter's firefighter. You know, when we got that, we were frustrated, I guess is the key, and we were fighting with the mud, which is not uncommon for us, but we were going back and forth, and I would really say that this council was this close to just throwing our hands up and saying, you know what, mud, you take over. We don't want anything to do with it. And Lasky came in, and I think you were only supposed to stay a few months, you know. But he came in and he said, you know, guys, I've got this. I can do this. I can handle this. This is nothing. You have a great, great group of firefighters over there. And he continually preached that. As frustrated as we were and ready to throw our hands up, I think at the end of the day, had it been anybody else, or had it been perhaps the old chief, I think we probably would have thrown our hands up. And so I just want to say that you have our gratitude. Yeah, I mean, I would go in a fire with you. That's how much confidence that you gave all of us to trust you, that you had this handled. And thankfully, you know, Bill and Greg got on the mud, and things change, opinions change, minds change, and it all worked out. And I think that we are a much better fire department. We're a much better town because of doing what we did, and I think because a key component of that was your leadership. And so I just want to thank you. Thank you for staying as long as you did as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to add one real quick thing to that, and this probably will steal something that Tim says all the time. Tim loves to talk about culture, and I love what it says to an organizational culture when you have a leader that comes in for an engagement of 90 days and ends up staying nearly a year because that was what was needed. That was what needed to be done. It's always healthy for a group to be able to look to someone who's in a position of leadership that looks around and sees there's a need, there's a gap to be filled, whatever the case may be, and goes above and beyond what the expectation is to fill that gap. And so I'm really appreciative of that, because I think that not only obviously impacted the fire department directly because you stayed and saw it through until we were able to, streamline operations and bring on a new chief, but also that everyone else that works with you guys can look at a person in the position of leadership and go, that's what he did, and maybe I should emulate that. So appreciate everything you did for us, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say something quick. I am big into culture, and that's what really drew me to you. I heard the term in the sports world a lot of time, a player's coach, right? And I didn't really understand what that was, right? And until you came around, and the way you fought for those firefighters, no one's had to do that before here, but you fought for those firefighters to make sure that the culture was changed, right? That they had a great place to work, that they kept their pensions, that conditions got better, and that everybody would want to come here, right? At the same time, you put in systems to help make us, one of the better places around. Patrick was able to do that, and I think Tom's able to do that. I mean, we're one of the luckiest towns around with the staff, with the leaders we have right now, because I know Wade will do the same thing because we have the right people interviewing and bringing them in. But you were able to do that in such a short time, which is pretty amazing. And so now we know why you're so sought after, and we appreciate the time you spent here, and I'm sure that a lot of people learned a lot of great life lessons from you, and I hope they all come away with it, because I know I did. Now I know what it means to be a player's coach. A lot of times I've seen guys go to bat for their employees, but don't work the systems, right? Then I see other guys who are system guys who forget about the staff, right? And when you're able to marry both, that's when you're a true leader like that, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let me just repeat what I said at the reception for the record. You came to us at a very tense time. There was ongoing issues with the municipality, the MUD, as to who would be running the department. You provided guidance and wisdom. Your personality and respect in the field, I think, made it a lot easier for the final determination for the town to take over the MUD. We appreciate everything you've done, and good luck in your new adventure.
Thank you, sir. I've said it several times over the past year. It was an absolutely incredible honor to serve as your interim fire chief. We've talked a lot about what went on here in the past, and as history has proved itself, sometimes the toughest of times produce some of the best teams. I couldn't be more excited. First of all, to have been part of a team that promotes the way you do family. This town council is all about family, whether it's the businesses that are in town, whether it's people that live here, the visitors, it's all about family. And you can see that everything you do, the staff is incredible. All the pieces are falling into place. I was just at a conference. I said, I'm so excited, selfishly, for the firefighters, because they've got a great place to work. And that's because of you. Mr. Class, I'd work for him any day of the week. And I was blessed to have the greatest partner, Chief Arata, with a great police department. But that's so key as a fire chief, to have someone that's incredible as Chief Arata is. And lastly, Chief Carroll, you guys stole one. His chief was very blunt and very honest with me at a conference. He came up behind me, and he's not happy because he lost a great, great man. But what they lost was Trophy Club's gains, and you've got an incredible fire chief that bleeds the fire service, believes in it, believes in his people, and I know you're going to be very, very pleasantly pleased with what you get out of Chief Carroll. He's awesome. So thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Agenda item number 9.
That's just to take,
Yeah, let me make a motion. I want a motion to table this. If I can get a second, I'll tell you why. Okay. This needs to happen when the 2 new guys are on board. So, all in favor of table until we got the appropriate people up here to make these decisions? Unanimous. Eric, Leisha, good luck with all that. Okay, so agenda item number 10, consider and take appropriate action regarding an ordinance of the town amending section A1.003. I'm sure everybody knows what that is. Community Development Department. Lisa?
I've proposed some changes to the fee schedule to ensure some consistency, to clean it up a little bit, and to account for time and resources of the town. I did some research on fees of nearby towns to make sure that we are in line with the regional standards. Some of those towns are Argyle, Fort Worth, Southlake, Westlake. I'm not going to go through every line item unless you would like me to. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to provide any clarification. Hopefully I did a decent job with the comments, which was Tom's idea, which was great. I'm available.
The only concern that I have, and I brought this up way before you were on board, but I don't want to make it so restrictive, or not restrictive is not the right word, but so fee intensive on people who come in, especially to our older homes, and want to gut them out and redevelop, if you might say. And it just seems, and I don't know if you've looked at this, you probably haven't because I've never brought it up to you, but I don't know if at some point you can look at that, because if you go through these fees, there's just a lot of fee for master electrician, fee for this, fee for this, fee for that. And I just wonder at some point, are we too fee intensive for somebody who wants to come in and really do some demo work and rehab a house, and should we be a little bit more aggressive towards making that sort of thing happen rather than trying to fee them to death over something like that? So I hope at some point that you can look at that and perhaps offer suggestions, and to that end, so
Okay.
that's one of my suggestions anyway.
There were no, I got together with community development, our whole department, and they didn't propose any changes to the chart for that.
Right.
From what I've heard on that, we're actually on the lower end of fees, but that's certainly something that we can look at.
Yeah, and I don't, we may be at the lower end, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is I would like to promote that. In other words, make it streamline it, whatever we have to do. I didn't look at all the different things because I knew that I don't exact, Garrett would be the expert on something like this, but I want to make it where, I'll give you an example, and here's the example that I'll use. There was a neighbor down the street from me who gutted his entire house, and his house is very similar to mine. And so I wrote Pat Cook and I said, hey, I'd like to see his plans, how he's doing it. And they said, well, there's no permit pulled. I'm like, oh, well, never mind. And he was almost done. And so I asked him, I went to him and I said, well, why did you not pull any permits, And he said, you don't understand the fees that I would have had to pay for every little thing. He said, just to get like a trash bin, it's $2,000 a month for that big blue container, that Allied Waste. And so he said, it's just you're so fee intensive. And so I guess we may be at the lower end, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is I would like for us at some point to look at it and kind of offer incentives or at least make it easy, or easier for somebody to do that sort of thing, because I think it only helps us as people come in and redevelop and rehab a house. I think it can only help us. And so we may be at the lower end and it may be perfect. I hope that at some point that we will look at that is what I'm trying to get across.
Okay, I'll make sure that, or check in to see if we have things as streamlined as they could be, and that's something that we can discuss.
Yeah, and it may be, maybe I should put this on future agenda. It may be a good idea to workshop something like that and just see what the process is and how we do it and things like that.
Just to
Yes,
be
sir.
clear, though, you're interested in the fee structure for the rehabbed houses, or are you interested in all the fees?
Well, just looking at the whole fee structure and you know, trying to streamline some of those rehab projects. In other words, I don't know, you know, I can look at it and I have no idea. A guy like that does it, he said he hit fee.
But we don't want to spend any time on new homes. That's, I
No,
guess,
no.
I mean, just.
We're pretty much built
renovations.
out, and so what I'd like to do is look at some point, look at these people who come in and rehab a home. Are they paying exorbitant fees? Or is the process easy? Is it difficult? Things like that, because I think that if we can be known as a town that promotes something like that, I think that we'll have more people that will do that and come in and do something.
I guess the question I would ask is, if you think about it, why do we have these fees, right? I mean, really, it's our job as a government to take care to safety, right? Make sure that people do things correctly. And I understand there's an administrative fee that needs to go along with that, but I agree with Philip. I mean, as you guys look into this later, we should be promoting the remodeling of these older homes. We should be promoting that. And you know what? If I buy a house, I don't want the government to come in and tell me, oh, well, you want to put some, well, new tile wouldn't be it, but you want to demo a wall, you want to do this, you're going to pay me. You know, and then you have people doing it on their own, and they're not, you know, we're not helping them. So yeah, I think that's probably
Yeah,
appropriate.
it's safe to say that anything that can be reasonably done without drawing attention to itself externally, if the process isn't super simple, we are basically encouraging those people to circumvent the process. Yeah. So I agree with Philip. I'd like to find a good balance that gives people a comfort level for things that are owner initiated or remodel or whatever, that help people get where they're going. And if there's anything there's things that I obviously want us to recoup our costs on, but there's certain things where I'm not really that worried about recouping cost on, something that requires a permit, but maybe isn't necessarily that big of a safety concern. Then we shouldn't be asking ourselves if we need a permit or what the fee is. We should ask ourselves if we need to require a permit at all. So I welcome. We can go with staff's recommendation tonight. I don't have any issue with that, but I'd love to have a holistic view of kind of what our vantage point is for certain things that don't center around building new structures.
Yeah, I think. Can I?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I think we want to walk that line where we're making sure that people are doing everything structurally sound and safety wise, and recoup our costs, but it shouldn't be a profit center, right? And I think that's what so many towns get into, where they start charging these. If it is true that it's $2,000 to rent a dumpster, I mean, I'm just
I don't
using
think that's a town fee.
right, but
We've got a bad
if
contract
we locked
on
into
that
a
one.
contract
Yeah.
like that, that's a big fee. I rent dumpsters for all my locations, and it's not nearly that amount. But what I'm saying is, we want to be as town friendly, while still being safety conscious and make sure we recoup costs. But we don't really want it to be a profit center, so to speak, because like you said, we're really just getting the electrician to say, I'm just going to wire this without anybody knowing, because it's going to cost me $500 and that's just hypothetical, $500 for a permit, so it's not worth my time.
Yeah, we'd rather have them submit the plans and pay some
Exactly.
nominal.
Right.
Well, I'll give you an example. In our fee structure, we have, if you are a master electrician, you have to register with the town, and that's a cost that you have to do. Well, the town doesn't issue you a license or anything like that. That comes from the state. It used to be city driven. It used to be, because in high school I worked for an electrician, and I got my journeyman's license. I'd have to register with the city of Dallas, and that's where I got my license. And then the state came in and took all that away, and now you're issued a license from the state. And so what we're doing is they're paying the state, and then when they come to the town, they're having to pay the town a fee. And so those are the types of fees that I don't understand why we require a fee for a master electrician to come in and do work in our town. I understand that if the code guy goes out there, he better have a license, but he has a state license, and he should be able to produce that. I don't understand why we have to, you know, and maybe it's just something that's been there, like most of these things, since 1985, and it's always been there, and we've never changed it. So those are the type of things I'd like to look at.
Has anybody got a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the fee schedule.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made by Philip, seconded by Ryland. All in favor? It's unanimous.
I do have one question.
I guess I should have said, does anybody have any discussion?
Why does it take 10 inspections on a retaining wall? That sort of popped out.
Actually, he's done over 14. With this particular, some retaining walls are very small. There's some that are very large. I don't go out and do them, but that's something that the fees that we proposed are actually much lower than he wanted to, just because of staff time. I don't know if it's all the piers, the engineering, the grading of it, the drainage, but retaining walls apparently are something that we lose a lot of money on. In fact, the fees that we charge they're just taking care of staff time. It's just what goes into the general budget, so that we have the money to, pay for our building and our employees and everything.
But I think the question was, why is 10 inspections? Is it 10 different inspections?
It depends on the project, how big the wall is. So it just depends.
Seems like a lot.
It is a lot, but that's apparently what's involved with retaining walls.
You don't want your retaining walls to fail.
That's true. Just kind of popped out at me, 10 inspections.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Agenda item number 11, discussion and provide direction to the town staff regarding the impact on the town from the MUD District 1 bond election. Tom?
I believe this is Philip.
Yeah, this is this was mine. I was concerned about if the bond failed, what our impact would be on this budget year. But it's come to my attention, or it's been brought to my attention, that this probably would not take effect until the next fiscal year, and so it's thankfully it's not something that we are going to have to deal with. I mean, we'll have to deal with it eventually, but we can budget for that. My fear was that if this failed, then we are budgeted for a certain amount of water usage, and that, depending on who you talk to, obviously it was going back and forth like a ping pong ball on Facebook. But obviously there's going to be some increase. But I think that, from what I'm understanding, this is going to be after the next fiscal year, and so it's not something we're going to have to face.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? No action on this item. We'll move on to agenda item number 12, discussion of future meeting agendas. Anybody have any questions on the 17th?
I think the only change
Meeting.
that we have for the 23rd is to start it at 7 p.m. versus 6:30 p.m.
I saw Eric's email.
Yes. And we should also place the item that we referred on the earlier item.
You still on the 17th?
I am.
Okay.
17's 9 a.m., right?
9 a.m.
And that one is only for canvassing, so by state law, we can canvass with just 2 members present.
You are correct, Councilmember Rowe. Yes.
So,
So it'll be a quick meeting.
yeah.
Greg, you had something on the 23rd meeting?
Yes, on number 10, the badge pinning ceremony. I think it's a good idea to move that back a week. We have the new swearing in. This way you'll have family and friends, and, not that it's a conflict, but I think one might take away from the other. It's just my suggestion. I don't know if you have any other.
Anybody got any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, it's up to staff.
No,
on that.
we can absolutely do that.
No opinion either way.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to add or remove anything from future agenda at this time? Anyone?
I don't think so.
All right.
We can remove items 1 and 2 from the May 23rd since we covered them tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, Garrett, for hastening that.
Alicia, don't think meetings are always going to be like this.
Yeah,
I
they
don't stay. I know. Just come and thank everybody.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
For the last time in my term of service, I make a motion to adjourn this council meeting.
Second.
I will second it.
Oh, you want a second?
Greg, a motion made by Jim, seconded by Greg. I'm going to vote against this motion because I don't want this meeting to ever adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? One person voted opposed.
Time. Adjourned in time.
Maintain your tradition. Going out with the flourish.
Meeting adjourned at 8:21.